The popular social media personality Logan Paul is facing fresh questions over his cryptocurrency.
I've made a severe and continuous lapse in my judgment, and I don't expect to be forgiven. I'm simply here to apologize.
Logan Paul's wallet might be whispering billionaire, but the docket numbers, they just keep piling up. It's wild, isn't it? One day you're jet-setting across continents, effortlessly plugging a neon energy drink to millions. The next, you're staring down a subpoena from a US Senate committee. How does that even happen? We're not just talking about a few bad headlines here. We're talking about what looks like a genuine heat map of an empire that's cracking in real time. Stick with us until the very end, and we'll lay out the court documents, the official complaints, and the cold, hard data that prove this isn't just internet hype. It's a deep dive into the very real challenges facing one of the internet's most polarizing figures. Let's be real, Logan Paul never just sold soda, he sold status. Remember those chaotic scenes? Kids queuing around the block, desperate to get their hands on a brightly colored bottle. Empty cans being hawked online for ridiculous prices, becoming a bizarre sort of playground currency, like rare Pokemon cards back in the day. Logan Paul and KSI, two titans of online influence, didn't just launch a drink, they launched a cultural moment. Paul's single Instagram post, flaunting Prime hydration next to KSI, didn't just clear 7 million likes in under 12 hours, it sparked a global frenzy. This wasn't about the taste of the beverage, it was about belonging, about being in the know, about carrying a symbol of online celebrity. It was, quite simply, status in a bottle. And boy, did it pay off. The brand, Prime Hydration, co-founded by Logan Paul and KSI, generated an astounding $1.2 billion in sales in its first year alone. That's a lightning bolt of cash, right? But that same lightning bolt quickly became a lightning rod for controversy. Because while Paul and KSI saw hype and status, regulators saw something else entirely. They saw young kids, often under 18, clamoring for cans of Prime Energy, each packing a hefty 200 milligrams of caffeine. To them, that wasn't just a popular drink, it was a potential health hazard, a recipe for hospital visits, and a glaring red flag for aggressive, potentially irresponsible marketing to minors. The American Academy of Pediatrics, for instance, recommends no caffeinated products for children under 12 and limits adolescents, 12 to 18, to less than 100 milligrams per day. One Prime Energy can doubles that. Before Prime became a sensation, there was a much darker chapter, The Forest. January 2018, Logan Paul, already a massive YouTube star with millions of subscribers, uploaded a video that shocked the world. He and his crew, while exploring Japan's Okigahara Forest, a place tragically known as the Suicide Forest, stumbled upon the body of a suicide victim. Instead of simply notifying authorities and leaving, Paul filmed it. He blurred the face, sure, but he kept the camera rolling, monetized the clip, and even made some truly insensitive remarks, reportedly joking, "What? You never stand next to a dead guy?" The outrage was immediate and global. People weren't just angry, they were disgusted. Paul quickly issued an apology, attempting a damage control tour to cauterize the wound, but the damage was done. YouTube, facing immense public pressure, yanked his ad revenue for 3 months and dropped him from their prestigious Google Preferred program. The media, without hesitation, labeled him tone-deaf, disrespectful, and disgusting. This incident, early in his career, established a chilling pattern that would resurface time and again. Spectacle first, damage control second. The footage itself is still out there, frame by frame searchable, an indelible stain on his digital footprint. No amount of editing or PR spin can truly delete the algorithmic memory or erase the headlines that now autofill every time you type his name. It was a raw, unfiltered look at the dark side of chasing clicks, and it laid the groundwork for how many would view his ventures moving forward. Fast forward to June 2023, the spotlight shifts, but the heat remains. Senator Chuck Schumer, in a move that grabbed national attention, stood before a cooler stacked high with Prime Energy cans. He didn't mince words. "These cans," he declared, contain nearly 2 Red Bulls, and the marketing targets kids who can't even spell caffeine. It was a powerful visual and a stark warning. The FDA already recommends a daily maximum of 100 milligrams of caffeine for adolescents. One 12-ounce can of Prime Energy, it doubles that, packing a whopping 200 milligrams. We're talking about levels that medical experts warn can raise blood pressure and interfere with sleep in children. Paul naturally fired back on social media, tweeting data that claimed 83% of our followers are 18 plus, but the narrative quickly unraveled. Internal meta ad buy receipts later surfaced in a lawsuit reportedly showed targeting parameters set as low as 13 years old. The discrepancy was glaring. While Prime's website does include a warning that the energy drink is not recommended for children under the age of 18, critics argue that the brand's social media presence and the influencers themselves inherently appeal to a younger demographic. The agency letters started swapping back and forth. No mandatory recall yet, but the pressure was mounting. Meanwhile, the footage of Schumer's press conference racked up an astonishing 25 million views, more eyeballs than Paul's last vlog. That right there was the moment Prime stopped being just another trendy drink and transformed into a very public case study for congressional folders, highlighting the growing concern over influencer marketing and youth health. The regulatory headaches for Prime weren't confined to the US. In January 2024, Health Canada took action, recalling 12-ounce Prime hydration bottles. Now this wasn't the high caffeine energy line, but the hydration line. The reason? Folic acid levels exceeded permitted limits, and the labels lacked proper French, violating Canadian regulations. It was a clear sign that even the safer hydration products weren't immune to scrutiny, adding another layer to the brand's growing list of regulatory woes. But the challenges didn't stop there. The same month, an Oklahoma lab, commissioned by plaintiffs in a California class action lawsuit, detected 0.5 parts per trillion of PFAs, those notorious forever chemicals, in the great flavor of Prime hydration. The lawsuit claims deceptive advertising, arguing that the product's front label misleadingly states all natural, despite the presence of these synthetic substances. PFAs are synthetic chemicals known to persist in the environment and accumulate in the human body, with potential links to increased cancer risk and other health issues. Prime's legal team quickly filed to dismiss, arguing the level was statistically insignificant. However, the very presence of these chemicals and the ensuing legal battle further chipped away at the brand's carefully crafted image of health and naturalness. Then, in July 2024, another legal heavyweight stepped into the ring, the US Olympic and Paralympic Committee. They sued Prime for allegedly using modified Team USA marks in a Kevin Durant ad without authorization. The lawsuit claimed Prime misused protected marks like Olympic, Olympian, and Team USA on product packaging and in advertising, despite never having an agreement with the USOPC. The campaign, featuring NBA star Kevin Durant, ran for just 2 days, pulled 4 million views, and then vanished. The legal battles and regulatory warnings aren't just making headlines, they're hitting the bottom line. Circana data for Q1 2025 shows Prime US unit sales down a staggering 34% year over year. And it's not just an American phenomenon. UK grocery scanner data mirrors the painful drop, with one report indicating UK revenue plummeted 70% from 2023 to 2024. Walk into a Midwest Walmart today and you'll likely find 12 packs of Prime marked with bright yellow clearance tags. Was $29.98, now $19.96. The silent witness to this cooling trend, the clearance aisle. What does it tell us? When regulators bark, retailers listen, and they listen a lot faster than even the most dedicated fans. The initial hype-driven growth has given way to a much more challenging retail environment. The brand that once commanded queues and resale premiums is now struggling with reduced repeat purchases and a slowdown in new customer acquisition. This isn't just a blip, it's a significant shift, signaling that the status once sold might be losing its luster on store shelves. But long before Prime faced its current challenges, Logan Paul ventured into the Wild West of NFTs, and that's where things got really messy. August 2021, Paul tweets, "CryptoZoo is coming. Hatch your NFT animals, earn passive income." The pitch was irresistible. Buy an NFT egg, watch it hatch into a unique animal, then breed these digital creatures to earn cryptocurrency. It was a play-to-earn game, a digital zoo promising passive income during the peak of NFT mania. The eggs? They sold out in 20 minutes, some fetching as much as 2.5 Ethereum. The white paper promised a complex breeding game, a vibrant ecosystem. 11 months later, however, no playable build shipped. The game remained a phantom. Enter CryptoZoo, a YouTuber known for his deep dives into online scams. He released a devastating 3-part investigation into CryptoZoo, accumulating millions of views. CryptoZoo's videos meticulously displayed wallet trails, allegedly showing that a developer known as Zookeeper had disabled liquidity pools, effectively trapping investors' funds. Victims reported staggering losses, averaging around $4,000 each. This wasn't just a failed project, it was widely described as a rug pull, a crypto scam where developers abandon a project after raising funds, leaving investors with worthless assets. Paul's initial response? A video later deleted blaming bad actors and claiming he was the one who was misled. The backlash intensified. In January 2024, facing immense pressure, he opened a buyback portal. The offer: hand over your base animal NFT, receive 0.1 Ethereum. But here's the catch: you had to waive all future claims against him. Roughly 1,000 holders, desperate to recoup some losses, signed the waiver. But the legal wheels were already in motion. A federal class action lawsuit in Texas, accusing Paul and his team of orchestrating a rug pull, survived a motion to dismiss. Then, in August 2025, a magistrate judge recommended tossing most of the counts for lack of specificity, finding that plaintiffs hadn't sufficiently tied Paul directly to their alleged losses. However, the plaintiffs were granted leave to amend, meaning they can revise their complaint and continue the fight. The courtroom door, it seems, stays revolving, and for many investors, their money is still very much gone. CryptoZoo wasn't Paul's only foray into the often murky world of crypto. A November 2024 BBC investigation linked Paul's wallet to trades around the Dink Doink meme coin. The report suggested he netted an alleged $120,000. Paul has vehemently denied insider positioning, though he did not deny that the wallet was his or that he was involved in its creation. He had promoted Dink Doink, hyping its potential without fully disclosing his involvement, and blockchain evidence reportedly suggested he profited while fans were left holding the bag after its collapse. The BBC even tried to interview him about these accusations, only for Paul to reportedly send a lookalike to the meeting, further fueling the controversy. Separately, in June 2024, the Ontario Securities Commission charged executives at Liquid Marketplace, Paul's fractionalized collectibles firm, with multi-layered fraud. Liquid Marketplace allowed users to buy fractional ownership stakes in high-value physical collectibles like rare trading cards, tokenized as NFTs. The OSC alleged that the top executives illegally diverted millions of investor funds for personal enrichment, lied to regulators, and sold unregistered securities, misleading investors about legal ownership and authentication. While Paul himself was not named personally in the enforcement proceeding, his face was prominently featured on the pitch deck, and he was a co-founder. Each of these satellite scandals, though sometimes less prominent than CryptoZoo or Prime, chips away at the same core asset: credibility. They paint a picture of a pattern, not just isolated incidents. So, why keep rolling the dice? Why, despite the mounting legal pressure and public backlash, does Logan Paul seem to double down on these high-risk ventures? Interviews with 4 former associates whose identities were verified via email paint a telling picture. They describe a corporate culture where metrics equal oxygen. One ex-employee, speaking on condition of anonymity, revealed that staff meetings often began with daily follower counts and engagement rates, not discussions about product safety or ethical considerations. It suggests a system where the algorithm, above all else, dictates behavior. If the algorithm rewards controversy, virality, and risk-taking, then that's the path that gets pursued, regardless of the potential fallout. This relentless pursuit of online metrics, of staying relevant at any cost, creates immense pressure. It fosters an environment where the line between genuine innovation and risky boundary-pushing maneuvers blurs. If the algorithm rewards risk, and that risk inevitably courts regulators and consumer complaints, then the only viable path to equilibrium, to long-term sustainability, is genuine accountability. Without it, the alternative isn't just another scandal. It's a full-blown collapse of trust and, eventually, the empire itself. Despite all the swirling controversies, Paul isn't exactly fading into obscurity. He remains a highly visible figure, notably as WWE's United States Champion, a title he won in November 2023. His performances in the ring are often lauded, showcasing a different side of his showmanship. Furthermore, Prime continues to land major sponsorships, prominently featuring on UFC cage-side banners as the official sports drink, a multi-year partnership announced in January 2023. These deals are more than just endorsements, they're powerful visibility anchors. They guarantee Paul and his brand remain in the public eye, leveraging massive global platforms. But here's the paradox, they also tether his personal brand and Prime to every Senate briefing that mentions caffeine and child health, to every class action lawsuit, and to every regulatory recall. Victory in the wrestling ring, celebrated by millions of fans, simply doesn't translate to victory in the courtroom, where facts and legal precedents reign supreme. The two arenas, despite their shared spectacle, run on fundamentally different scoreboards. It's a delicate balance, trying to rebuild a reputation on one stage while battling for survival on another. If you're finding this timeline useful, if you appreciate getting the real story behind the headlines, do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. We're tracking these dockets weekly, digging into the details, and the next update drops soon. You won't want to miss it. When you look at the entire landscape of Logan Paul's career, from the infamous Okigahara Forest video to the energy drink empire and the ill-fated crypto game, you start to see a disturbing through line. Different products, sure, but often the same underlying architecture. Hype, monetize, apologize. This isn't a string of isolated bad luck incidents. It's a recurring pattern, a business model that, intentionally or not, externalizes consequences. It's a strategy that thrives on pushing boundaries, chasing virality, and then dealing with the fallout reactively. When the cycle repeats itself for 7 long years across various ventures and industries, downfall stops being a possibility and starts feeling like narrative gravity. The common denominator isn't just Logan Paul, it's a system designed to maximize attention and profit, sometimes at the expense of ethical considerations or consumer safety. It raises profound questions about the responsibilities of mega influencers and the platforms that amplify them. Let's tally up the score, shall we? Current federal investigations, 2 publicly confirmed. These aren't just whispers, these are active probes by government bodies into the operations and marketing of his ventures. Pending civil suits, 4 active. These are real people, real plaintiffs, alleging real damages, from deceptive advertising to alleged fraud. 2 others have been dismissed, but that still leaves a significant legal burden. Recalls, 1 in Canada. While it was for the hydration line and not the energy drink, a recall is a serious blow to any brand's credibility and distribution. Refunds offered, 1 partial crypto buyback. This was a direct response to the CryptoZoo debacle, offering a fraction of investors' losses in exchange for waiving legal rights. The outcomes of these cases are, of course, fluid. Lawsuits can drag on for years, decisions can be appealed, and settlements can be reached behind closed doors. But what's indisputable, what you can't argue with, is the sheer stack of paperwork. Each document, each complaint, each regulatory inquiry represents a significant weight on the shoulders of Logan Paul's empire. So, what does a genuine recovery look like from a situation like this? According to legal experts we've surveyed, the fastest, most effective off-ramp from this kind of reputational and legal quagmire would involve 2 key steps. First, a full consumer restitution fund, and critically, one that's voluntary, not court-ordered. This would involve proactively compensating those who've lost money or been impacted by his ventures, demonstrating a genuine commitment to making things right. Second, It would require transparent, independent third-party product testing for all his consumer brands, especially Prime, to rebuild trust and assure the public of product safety. As of now, Paul's team has not announced either of these steps. And until such proactive measures are taken, every new headline, every fresh complaint, every regulatory letter isn't just news. It's a free-fall sensor, indicating the continued descent of a brand struggling to find its footing. Will they continue to buy into the hype, or has the pattern of externalized consequences finally caught up? Can he genuinely learn from these spectacular stumbles? Or is this simply the inevitable trajectory of an empire built on the shifting sands of internet virality? Leave your take below. The docket's open, and so is the comment section. Logan Paul once filmed a suicide victim for views, a moment that etched itself into the internet's collective memory. Now, in a chillingly poetic turn, his own empire appears to be the corpse under the white sheet, photographed daily by process servers and dissected by financial analysts. That billion-dollar valuation, it might survive, propped up by existing deals and his sheer financial momentum. But the cultural cachet, the once unassailable influence, the trust of a generation, that's on life support. If history is any guide, we can probably expect another apology video, perhaps another product drop, another cycle of reinvention. It's a playbook we've seen before. The real question isn't just whether he can reinvent himself again, but whether regulators, who are increasingly aware of the power and pitfalls of influencer-led ventures, and more importantly, audiences, will keep watching.
I know you're not following what I'm saying anyway, right? That's okay, that doesn't matter. The real question is this: is all this legal? Absolutely fucking not.